Yeah, don't stress over the small things. Just let your kids be kids, and you know what? If they're not gonna die, let them do it. Like, let them be themselves.
Love it.
And not try to, make them be a certain way.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Smashed Oranges. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe below so we can keep bringing you fresh new episodes every week. And with that, we have a really special guest today to celebrate Mother's Day with us. We have my mom.
Yay! Hi!
This is Maureen. I call her mom, but for all of you guys.
Mom, Maddie's mom.
We're
back to childhood.
Yeah. She raised me and my brother and my sister. Her and my daughter still married after how many years?
33.
33 years of marriage.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen them fight.
Wow.
So that's impressive.
We'll put that in the title.
Yeah, and overall my mom just gave us a really good childhood and make sure we were always loved and well fed and dressed and alive and
all the important tasks check.
Yeah. And I also think too, I think she did a good job of teaching us how to like be kind to each other.
Aww.
Like me and my siblings are never like cruel to each other. Like, don't get me wrong, we don't always see eye to eye. Like, we definitely fight, but we're never like.
There was no swearing at each other.
There was no swearing at each other. There was no name calling. Like, I remember calling my sister stupid once, and Mom made me like rinse my mouth out with soap.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you guys use the soap tactic.
Yeah, you did, and it only happened once though.
Yeah, I've had similar for me like once or twice. I'm like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Good for you, Mom.
I remember you guys fighting over stuff, and I would put 2 chairs back to back. Do you remember that? And I would make you sit there until you could be kind to each other.
That's amazing.
But they couldn't look at each other, and within 5 minutes, they just start giggling and laughing. And I'm like, all right, you guys can go
now
now.
that I do regularly.
Cute.
I also remember.
But you can't move until you can be nice to each other.
I remember the timeout chair, and we had to like. When we were bad, she'd like sit us in a chair in front of the microwave and set a timer for 2 minutes.
Well, no, it depended on how old you were.
Oh yeah, it was 1 minute for every year.
Oh,
Up until we were about like 7, and then I think that we kind of just outgrew that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we tried to like talk or like get out of the chair, she'd restart the timer.
I remember my mom doing something similar too.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're restarting now.
Yeah.
That's so good. But we're excited to hear a little bit more from your perspective now. And it is amazing the things that you've accomplished in 33 years. And as a mom, your kids, at least this one's doing pretty well. I like her.
You just haven't met my siblings yet. They're pretty great.
Exactly.
No, they're great too. They're great too.
They're good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The jury was out for a while on her brother, but it's good now.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
There's some seasons in there you're like,
An episode on raising teenage boys.
Oh, you should do one of those.
that would be a really good one, actually.
Yeah.
I agree. But super fun. So we would like to hear a little bit more about kind of the evolution of your motherhood. Now you're a grandma too, and so we'll get there. But I would like to have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation about what your life was like as a mom and kind of take some steps back into the future and be able to see it with your present eyes now and have a bit of hindsight on some things. So could you give us a little bit of maybe backstory on what your perception of your motherhood was like? How did you feel as a new mom, like the stage that we're in with me starting out as 1 and then when you got to 2 and so forth?
Yeah. I was young when I had Maddie. I was only 25.
Wow.
So had already been married for 3 years. So married young, baby young. And when I look at Maddie and her sister, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
Like, even when I told Mom we were expecting, she kind of was like, I handed her, it was a Christmas card, and she kind of got this like ghost white look on her face before she even opened it.
And I almost said, weren't you using a condom?
Aren't you glad you did say that?
Yeah, but no,
might have said it. I can't
You
remember.
did say, you were like, I feel like I should lecture you right now, but I don't think I need to.
I was in shock. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Oh, So
Yeah,
you
it was
feel
nice.
like it was
Yeah, it was
pretty young.
Yeah, I was
feel like
very
you're
young.
ready?
And didn't have with my own mother, not to get too deep into that story, did not have a good role model at all. At all.
Challenge.
Yeah. So, and my mom was never involved with the kids at all. So, yeah. And thank God, Maddie's dad is amazing, right? And his family. So, yeah. So, and I mean, thank God I had my mother-in-law. Not that I always saw eye to eye with her on parenting, but she was always. No, we did not see eye to eye. There's one, yeah, we'll tell a story in a sec. But anyways, I just wanted to say I am very thankful I had her and my father-in-law, and because they were very, very involved.
Yeah, they were.
Where my parents were not so much. So that was awesome. But yeah, again, just, raising Maddie, I felt like, looking back, I was a baby myself. So, and her dad is older than me. So he's 7 years older than me. He'll say 6.5. I always say 7.
You got to round up.
Exactly. But yeah, and he was like just from day one, the most amazing dad as well. So very thankful.
special.
He set the bar really high.
He really did. Yeah. The
That makes a
girls
huge
always say
difference.
that for
Yeah.
sure.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's an amazing, amazing grandfather now to Arden.
Oh yeah, Arden loves Grandpa.
Yeah.
That's really special.
There
to
could be
watch,
20
eh?
people in the room that Arden loves, and he goes to grandpa.
That's how Poppy is too.
Yeah.
Grandpa is special. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Grandpa can be special.
It
That's
is.
amazing.
Yeah, every night when we're at their house and we leave, like I give him a bottle before we leave because it's a long drive. But Grandpa has to feed him the bottle.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty special.
It is pretty special.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about the grandparent part. But
Yeah.
so
Sorry, backtrack.
No, if you sorry. Yeah, carry on. I don't know if I had another question.
No. And yeah. So yeah, one baby was a breeze. Maddie was such a, for the most part, an easy baby. She never slept in her crib, not even one night. She was in bed with us the entire time.
Oh.
And again, her dad was amazing. I slept through nursing because he would literally lift my shirt, latch the baby on, and I would sleep through the whole thing and wake up in the morning and go, oh,
I feel refreshed and I'm deflated. It's perfect.
and he did that with all 3 kids. So I can't even, like, again,
is so
He's a really
cool.
light sleeper, though.
he's a really light sleeper.
like if there's like a faucet dripping, he wakes up.
Oh, brutal.
yeah.
He's
So-
like, we're never going through postpartum again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's good that way. Yeah. Second baby was a little harder for me. I feel like I had postpartum a little, looking back. They didn't really talk about it much back then.
Right.
But I think I did have postpartum after Kennedy was born for sure. And that one was hard on our marriage for sure. Just because I needed more help and he wanted to work harder and he wasn't as home as much.
Oh, that's brutal.
And
And you're also chasing a little toddler at that point.
Yeah,
too, right?
chasing. And Maddie was amazing. What I would usually do if I was stressed out is put the lazy boy in front of the bathroom and just put her in the bathtub
That's genius.
and nurse
yeah.
Kennedy. So yeah, so she wasn't getting drowned and she was quite happy in the
I
bathtub.
really like the bathtub. I pretend I was the Little Mermaid.
Oh,
Yeah,
cute.
So yeah, and then gosh, and then after Kennedy was born, 6 years later, we had Pierce. So
Wow.
and boys are way different than girls for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, they are
I'll let you know
very.
how I
Oh, yeah, you're going to be experiencing that firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said to you earlier, it's like I was always the judgy mom with the 2 perfect girls, and they were literally perfect. We would go out to there was this Chinese restaurant near us, and we would always go for a lunch buffet.
Fun.
And we would take the girls, and they would sit at the table literally like this and wait as we went up to the buffet and got their plates. And people would come
Wow.
up to us and go, your children are so well behaved.
And your ego would just go,
Yes. And then we had Pierce. And then, and then we would go to restaurants and
He had like a
circus.
He had a soother, and I remember being in Red Lobster, and he's like
Yes.
sucking on the soother, and then he pulled it out of his mouth, and he was like, like just like screaming,
like happy screaming,
like excited screaming, and then my dad like puts the soother back in his mouth, and he's like quiet, and then like you take it out and he'd scream, and you put it back in and he'd quiet.
But then the people around us started laughing, and then
he
it was
thought it was
like,
funny.
Oh,
I'm entertaining people.
Yeah.
And then
he is the entertainer of the family. Life would be so dull without him.
He is the entertainer for sure.
Every kid has their place, eh? Oh man, but that would be a challenge not only going from girl to boy, but also from that amount of time difference.
Oh yeah, like we were done. Like we were done. And then
Spry?
he wasn't planned. But I love, like, can't imagine life without him.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that one was, took a while for us to wrap our brain around. Like I'd given away everything, the crib, everything.
Oh yeah, you're starting fresh.
Well, my sister was just she was going to be starting grade 1.
Yeah.
Too. So that's like
the first. So your freedom.
I was going to go back to work, and because I always stayed home with the kids, and I worked evenings. But I was always home with the kids, so I was like, maybe I can get a big girl job now.
Yeah. How was that transition? Because I would like to, like, what were your thoughts and feelings when you were like, oh, I guess I don't get to go back to whatever it was that, you kind of imagined your next season to look like?
It was hard. I just, I was a wife and a mother and, for so long. And then it was like, I remember Kennedy finishing, she was in kindergarten when I found out I was pregnant. But my first thought was like, I have to do play school again. I can't do play school again. Like, I can't sing those songs anymore. They all had the same play school teacher, Mrs. Killam.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. But she would sing the same songs. And I had already done it twice. And I'm like, I can't do this the third time.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
You were like, oh, whatever. Well, might as well do it a third time.
It was hard doing it a third time. But again, like Pierce had his place in our family. And the girls were amazing with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so fun.
I've heard positive things too, especially having a little bit more of an age gap where your kids are a little bit more aware of what's going on and just like super excited. It's not so much of a challenge.
I remember being so excited about Pierce.
Yes.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I was very excited.
Kennedy was jealous, though. That's the whole birth order, right?
Yeah.
Because she was the baby.
Yeah.
And then even after 6 years, like she was mad that he came. She says she'll tell you now, she's like, oh yeah, I sat under his crib and I kicked it. Like when he was in it, she would lay under there and kick the bottom of his crib.
Yeah.
Poor little girl emotions. It's hard.
They get a lot. They're good now, though.
Yeah,
you grow out of it for sure.
Yeah, they're good now.
That's so funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I would imagine to have some hindsight and to be able to look back on that. What do you feel is the biggest thing that you learned from your first with Maddie to Pierce? Are there some
just
things
letting
that you
go?
Oh,
Letting go of control.
I remember being 12 and at my friend's house, and we watched Napoleon Dynamite. And my mom found out I watched Napoleon Dynamite, which is a PG-13 movie, and goes, you didn't call to check to see if you could watch that movie. It's PG-13. You're not 13 yet. And I was like, Mom, I'll be 13 in like 6 months. Like, calm down. And then like a few months later, I go downstairs. My brother, who's like, 4 at the time, is like watching Terminator with my dad. And I was like, what?
He's like,
what
why
is
are the
this?
scales are not balanced here? Yeah.
we just did an episode on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
good example of boy versus girl growing up. Eh? That's funny.
Yeah, definitely Pierce got away with a lot. But it's like,
so
so the difference, like you said, is
letting go
of the control.
Yeah.
And what I would probably do, I was definitely your typical helicopter mom. If I was always at the school, I was the first to volunteer on field trips. I knew every child that they hung out with. I knew their parents.
Yeah.
I wouldn't allow them to have sleepovers.
We just talked about this on our last episode.
Yeah.
I was not sleepovers either.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to have sleepovers. But in hindsight, I'm like, did they, I don't know.
Did it make a difference?
Did it make a difference? I think maybe if I let them experience other things, I guess, maybe they'd have more street smarts or be more independent. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, Maddie. I wish you had more street smart. You grow into it eventually.
No, I just Maddie was pretty like forgetful. When it came to school.
No, it's still really bad. Omari's like, do you
good.
have everything? You're
You know,
like,
at
just like,
least 2 or 3 times a week, I would get a call. I forgot my lunch. I forgot my homework.
Oh, that
I
sounds
forgot
too
this.
familiar.
I
Yeah.
forgot this.
No, but this went on like far longer than it needed to.
like high school.
Like high school.
Oh, yes.
Like you should have just not. You should have just stopped bringing
I should
my
have just
lunch.
been like,
You're going to be hungry today.
Yeah.
but I was like, oh, that's okay, honey. I'll bring you McDonald's.
You wanted to that's so sweet in its own right. You know, that's the thing is I feel like sometimes with moms in hindsight, you know, after the kids have grown, it's like, oh, but like I wanted them to feel loved and I wanted to be there for them and to never feel like they couldn't rely on me and all that sort of stuff. And so you do start to ask yourself like the pros and cons, like, oh, but would it really have been that bad if I just, you know, said, you're gonna get hungry or you know, and so it just I think this is maybe a good segue into my next question about your value system with your kids, because I feel like every mom has like some really key values that are integral to the dynamics of their family that they want to instill. And it sounds like Maddie kind of touched on a little bit of it with like the dynamic between the siblings being pretty positive. So do you mind talking a little bit more about, and maybe it wasn't even something consciously at the time, but maybe looking back if there are some things that you thought were really important for your kids to learn or some things that you taught them through like your own actions and things like that?
Well, the one thing that just pops to my mind is like dinner time. Like no matter how busy we were, and I mean, we were busy because both girls were in dance.
Like 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Brutal.
Pierce was in
Volleyball and soccer.
baseball, badminton, drama, like you name it. Like so, you know, between the 3 kids, like it was like go time after school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it didn't matter if they had a break at dance, an hour break, we would go pick them up, bring them home, and we would sit as a family and have dinner together. And
That's
then
some dedication.
drive them back. Because we didn't want them eating Subway. Right?
I mean, we did eat Subway, but it was
Sometimes.
Not all the
every
time.
night.
Yeah, not every night or whatever.
Oh gosh, no. There's like once every few weeks, maybe. But
So what's the value behind that then? That you just wanted people to like be able to connect with each other? Or?
Well, we used to, and I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember we used to sit at the table and go, "What was the best part of your day?"
Oh yeah, Kennedy does this with Ron, and I do it with Omari.
I know,
and I started doing it with Arden, even though Arden can't tell me.
So we would sit at
the
dinner
best part of
and
his
we
day
would
yet.
just talk, and then I'd say to the kids like, "What was the best part of your day?" And then they'd all tell me the best, and then I go, "Okay, what was the worst part of your day?" And they'd all tell me the worst, and then I'd go, "What was the funniest part of your day?" And then like Jeff and I would answer as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's some great mindfulness teaching.
Yeah.
And we still do that.
And I don't know if it was I don't know if I thought I was teaching them something by doing that, but they enjoyed it.
That's so great.
And then we'd have fun games too at dinner, like eating fish. Because do you remember the fish?
So my dad said that like when you like fish is brain food, so he'd always be like, you have to eat your fish if you want to get smarter.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, I'll ask you a math question, you have to take a bite of fish, and then you'll know the answer.
So they would each take turns, and they'd have like a big fork full of their fish, and then they go, "Okay, ask me a question."
Yeah.
You guys are keeners. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cute.
A big dinner time family.
We are, and we still are.
Yeah.
Like, we still are. Like the kids will often just roll up on a whatever night of the week, and
Yeah.
if we didn't plan on having them, we just like make it work.
Yeah.
Like we're like, okay,
Yeah.
each can have a half a hamburger.
Yeah.
And I
But
thought
they're always welcome to just
And I
roll
thought
up.
that was just like a normal thing, that everybody's household was like that, until one of my friends was
came over.
one of my friends was with me one night, and I was like, oh, like she's like, what do you want for dinner? I was like, oh, we're like right by my parents' house. It's like 5:30. Let's just go to my mom's. And she's like, are you sure they're okay with that? Because like she could never do that with her family.
Yeah.
She'd be like, no, if I just showed up at my mom's without telling her I was coming for dinner, or if I wasn't invited, then it would be a problem.
Yeah, that's not a problem with us at all. Sometimes your dad gets a little like, I just took out a steak. I was looking forward to
Gonna say, you have to share your hamburger, Dad. Sorry.
But I'm like, it's fine. Just, grill up some shrimp to go with it.
Sometimes when I call, I'm like, can I come for dinner? They're like, is Omari coming?
How many more?
That's an
extra
issue
servings?
sometimes because
They're like, we only have one chicken. Like, if Omari's coming, we need 3.
That's how I look at it.
we have a funny
was
story about Omari because when he was, I think he was still in high school. Or no, it must have been after
he would
high
have been
school.
like 20.
20. He rolled up, and I mean, Maddie and Omari were really good friends. Like, he would just show up at our house for dinner all the time.
Oh, I love it.
But he rolled in late one night. We'd already eaten. And I'm like, oh, hey, we chat. And I said, have you had dinner? He's like, no. I said, oh, I just roasted a few chickens, but there's still one in the fridge. Help yourself, like make yourself at home. And me and Jeff had gone downstairs to watch TV. And then the next day I go in the fridge and I'm like, thinking I was going to make like chicken sandwiches or whatever. I'm like, where's the chicken? And Maddie's like, well, Omari ate it. I'm like, the whole thing?
It was a whole chicken.
He ate the entire chicken.
Omari's mom was so appalled.
And he's like, you told me there was a chicken in the fridge.
You didn't tell me portions.
The whole chicken.
That's so funny.
So that tells you, like, when Amari's coming, we need to, we do need to plan, which is fine. And definitely my love language as a mom is food.
Oh,
It always has. Like, I grew up with, a German grandma.
Oh, yeah.
And the Cougans and we call them spud nuts. They're potato donuts.
Yeah, we make spud nuts in my family.
Oh, do you? Oh, they're so good.
They are so good.
Yeah. So the spud nuts and the strudels and everything was always homemade and canned and gardens.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely my love language. And the girls have said to me at some point, they're like, I don't know why we don't weigh 300 pounds. We would cry and you'd be like, here's some banana bread. Here's a cake. And I still do that.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's, if my kids are upset, that's my go-to. It's like, I need to feed you.
That's why you never went hungry at lunch. I get it now.
That's how I comforted them.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think it's lovely. I don't think there's anything bad with it because and part of me when you were talking was wondering, I was like, I wonder what part of this is not cultural, but like generational. Because I feel like it was the same thing in my family. My mom, I don't think we would call often about losing our lunches too. I don't think she often would let us go hungry. So,
no.
And it's the same thing. My parents moved to Red Deer a couple years ago, unfortunately. So big sad on us. But that was the same thing for our family, was being able to go over and just people would just drop by and we're like, what the heck? What are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here?
My sister's always
come to Mom's house. Duh.
Yeah. Kennedy's like, you're here again.
Yeah, right? That's exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it feels like your safe, warm space. And, a throwback to Maddie's comment in one of our episodes where we had Josh and Omari on, she said in response to Omari asking if we want our kids to view us as friends or as, mom, parent, authority figure. And Maddie didn't, she said, I want my house to be a safe space. I want me to be a safe space. And, the situation will kind of direct me to be, to respond in whatever appropriate manner, but I always want to be that safe space. And I think I see where that's coming from. Like, she's had a very good example of that in you. It's definitely translating from the way that you, raise them with that.
Tried.
Yeah.
There's been moments of bad parenting on my, as well, where, I think you bring a lot of past trauma into your parenting. And I think I went like the total opposite of how I was raised. I was like, I am never doing that to my children. Yeah. And I think Maddie might have mentioned this in a previous episode. And I've said to her before, it's like, I got married young, but then I said, when I was pregnant, I'm like, well, this is it. You're stuck with me forever because I came from a divorced family. And I said, I will never do that to my children. I just won't. So, yeah. So I remember saying that to her dad. It's like, well, this is it. Like, this is forever now. Yeah. You could have lost me before we had kids, but not now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool that was such a grounding part of your partnership. And I think that speaks to why you've lasted why you've
and like I said,
33-year marriage.
I said at the beginning of episode 2, like, I can count on one hand the number of times that they've fought in front of us.
That's an important distinction too in front of you guys too, because I would imagine there was probably disagreements, but
Well, no,
you
we
wanted
had
to keep
disagreements, but I think she's talking like full out, like
yelling.
yelling.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like twice.
So it was like you were very respectful with each other. It seems like
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part.
yeah,
Everyone has their times, but
Yeah.
yeah.
that's important too, right?
Yeah, the day you drove the boat into the dock. That was a bad one.
I love that
like,
day. No, I love that day. I don't regret that at all.
Okay, what's the story? Now we need some backstory. What's the context?
We had just bought a new boat, and
Like a nice boat. Like the nicest boat you could have bought on the market at
and
the
you
time.
have to know, like,
Wow.
Like my dad, when he buys, he's like we've talked about this. Like he's like,
buy nicer,
he's
buy twice.
very
Yeah.
frugal, but when he does spend money, he buys something quite nice that's going to last him forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about this lots too.
Yeah.
yeah. So it was the first summer we had the boat, and Mom had gone out, wanted to do like a girls' day on the lake with like wine and appies with the
Well,
girls.
no, the whole story is he would like, Pierce was only 2,
yeah,
and we were camping. And he would go out with the guys and go wakeboarding and,
Cute.
you know, and then the other wives who didn't have little ones would go too. And I would be like stuck there with the baby napping or whatever.
oh yeah, this would piss me off too.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I was getting a little like, okay, this is not fair. Like this is fair. This is my vacation too.
Yeah.
So Jeff said, I got mad at him. And he said, well, take the boat. And I said, I am okay taking the boat. I said, but I'm not comfortable bringing it into the dock because there's another like very expensive boat right next to us. And I'm like, I'm not bringing it in. And I said, I'll go out with the girls on, you know, and have some appies on the boat and float around or whatever. But when we get close to the dock, you need to swim out and bring the boat into the dock. He's like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So we go out, we come back. He's on the beach with all the guys, and they're out on the dock. And I'm like, come on, honey, like, swim out to the boat. And he's like, you're good, bring it in. And I'm like, oh, and there's all these men watching.
Sir, don't test me. Oh.
And I'm like, no, hun, like, get in the water.
I'm gonna laugh.
Get in the water and come and bring the boat in. He's like, you're good. Come on. And I'm like, And then I said it a third time. And now there's like more men congregating to watch the scene.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, you want me to bring the boat in? All right, watch this.
So she left it in gear and jumped off the back into the lake.
Yep. I hit the dock, I ricocheted off the boat beside me, and I left it in gear, and I jumped off the back of the boat. And Jeff had to jump in and tie it up.
It was a bad day.
And my girlfriends were in the boat. Oh my God. And I didn't want to talk to him, so I ran into the women's showers.
And I remember going into the shower being like, Mom. And you're like, it's fine. Fine. I'm fine. She's like crying. I'm like, I went back to my friend's mom and I was like, why is my mom crying in the showers? And she's like, she just needs a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
a great
I think that was one of the closest days to divorce, maybe, that we had.
I mean, you laugh about it now.
Now I
though.
can kill myself. And Jeff still, like, he laughs about it. But it was a bit, yeah. And I remember looking out the door and he's like pacing back and forth, waiting for me to come out. And I'm like, I'm not coming out.
She was in there for like a
outlast
good
you.
few hours in the shower.
I'm like, no, this is like endless hot water in here. This is great.
So funny.
I'll just turn into a little prune.
Yeah.
Anyways,
fine.
yeah, that was one
That's
of our bad
hilarious.
moments. But
But
at least it's
They're
comical.
few and far
yeah.
between. So then, like, as time passes, they just become comedy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then what do you learn from that, right?
Me and all my siblings can bring the boat into the dock.
oh, nice. How to
They can. All of
Yeah.
them.
And like
Learn good skill.
when Kennedy was like 15, she'd like bring the boat in by herself and like her guy friends would be like, wow, You know how to
Oh,
drive
yeah.
a boat? My sister's like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's a guy's girl though.
So funny.
Yeah. She likes to be able to do things all by herself all
Yeah.
the time, doesn't want help.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm not like that.
Me neither.
I think I've outgrown that. I'm like, whatever, honey, you can do it.
Yeah.
No, she's still like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think different personalities for sure. Because I think my sister's a little bit more like that too. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
so yeah, that's motherhood and just raising 3 kids and all very, very, very different personalities. Yes, like nothing alike
Oh, I can imagine.
personality wise.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced the same in our family.
Yeah,
And that's the
Wow,
challenging
with-
part. I'm a little bit scared.
6 of you, right?
Yeah, there were 6 of us in my family total. And so now looking on as a mom, like, how do you balance that many emotions and like, well, and like you said, even schedules, right? Everyone has different
Yeah.
interests
Yeah.
and stuff. And so, yeah, how did you do it? Did you feel like, I plead the
It's fine. It was good.
One day at a time.
I guess
One
that's
day
the
at a
answer.
time, and that's like what works with one does not work with the other for parenting. Like you just have to learn to, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have to roll with the punches, I guess. Hey, and there was another episode that we've recorded with
And
another
just let
mom.
go of like just you've got to learn to let go. Like you can't control even the little ones sometimes, right? Like
Exactly.
you can't control them. You have to let them be who they are
Exactly.
and learn how they learn. And that's another like the learning style of kids too, right? And not trying to pigeonhole in them the way. And then back to FFCA, like I think when it first opened, you went there, it was very rigid and very,
Yes.
I think it's changed. It's not as bad as it used to be or as strict. But, in hindsight, looking at that, I don't know if it was the best option at the time for my kids, but that's where they
That's
went.
interesting.
Yeah.
What do you feel like?
I just, from comments you guys have made since, like Kennedy, I know. Kennedy left for grade 10 and went to public school. Maddie stayed
That's
through grade
surprising.
12 and Pierce stayed through grade 12. But, I remember how they used to divide up the classes as the different levels
Oh,
in elementary, right? So you were in the advanced, the middle, or
They'd never say that's how it was divided.
but that's how it was divided. And the kids
I
knew
don't think
that.
it's like that now.
No,
though.
it's not.
It's definitely changed
It's
a
not.
lot. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
never like that even when Pierce went there.
Yeah.
But, because I remember you thinking, because Maddie would get placed in the advanced class for a couple of years.
So when I was in grade 2,
2 or 3,
I was supposed to be in one homeroom class. And then
they bumped you.
And then I got bumped into the other homeroom class because there was like a new kid that came in. So the new kid took my spot in one class and they moved me into the other room. And like, I don't know why, but I was definitely like at the beginning of the year, they were giving me like a lower level of like all of the math timesheets.
Interesting.
And I knew that my level was
could tell.
different. I'm not stupid at 7.
Yeah.
Like it was different.
Maybe start feeling.
Yeah, but then in my brain, I was like, I felt like the dumb kid, even though I was just like in the accelerated class of fast learners.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And,
So
like,
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be one thing I would possibly change. I don't know what avenue I would go down because I know, you guys are looking at FFCA for Arden.
Yeah, he's on the list because I still like.
But I don't think
There's
it's
some
the
positive
same as
things.
the different.
Yeah,
used
but
to
I
be.
think like the good things for me going to that school was like the teachers cared a lot.
They did.
And like especially in high school, like we couldn't get away with anything.
Yeah.
Like I remember me and my friends skipped like school. I think it was like the day before Christmas break or something to go grad dress shopping. And we were specifically told we weren't allowed to skip class for any reason. And then our teachers found out that we had skipped to go grad dress shopping, and my friend lost her like candidacy for one of the like year-end scholarships or something.
Whoa.
Because we left to go grad dress shopping. It's not like we were doing anything
Yeah.
bad. We were
Yeah.
just like, there's nothing happening in class today. We're going dress shopping.
They
Like,
just set the standard and there was consequences for that. And you knew
Yeah.
that in high school.
yeah, and like all of the teachers were like on it enough to like know who was where and when. But I think that did me like I feel like I left high school having like almost every door open that could be open like academically.
That's cool.
You know, like I feel
I'm
like
sure you noticed that. Like you probably were aware of.
Absolutely.
That was why you just
yeah,
decided to
like
keep
I
them.
left high school knowing exactly what I needed to get, like grades wise, like class load
to
wise.
get into what you wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah, or more than what I wanted to do. Like they basically made sure that like I wasn't closing any doors on myself that like I needed to still have open.
Right.
You know?
And definitely that didn't happen with Kennedy at the public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they would say, you don't need that. Don't bother
Yeah.
doing your blah, 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 blah.
Like English -1.
Yeah. But
and
then
like
she had to go back and upgrade.
yeah.
Oh, brutal.
And I mean, like
Which is fine,
I've worked with kids that are like in the public system, like teaching dance and stuff, and have had like similar like I said to one of my students because she was talking about wanting to go and do a certain program, and I said, oh, make sure you do like English -1 and social studies -1 because you need like pretty much both of those to be -1 to get into just about anything. And she's like, what? And I was like, how did nobody tell you this? Like it was like rammed down my throat.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And then like I do think our teachers genuinely cared for us. Like
Or they still do.
they still do. Like even like really sad story a few years ago, one of like my good friends I went to school with passed away kind of like super randomly, like yeah. Anyways. But it was just like so we would have been 25, 26
Yeah.
at the time.
7.
No, 26.
Okay.
So I'd been out of high school now for like 7 or 8 years. And like there was probably like 30 or 40 people that I graduated with at her service.
And how many teachers?
And like 14 teachers.
That's astounding.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember them like I don't even know. It's crazy.
It definitely had, you were a family. Like at FF, back then, definitely it was more of a, if you were part of that community, you were, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
everybody looked
think
out for everybody.
My parents would agree with that. I think they were, because I ended up going into public school for grade 9.
Okay.
And then I don't know the ages or the grades that my siblings phased out of FSCA as well. But after talking to my parents about it, they're like, that was the best decision, was having you guys, at least for elementary, because we knew that you were like receiving really good academic guidance, but also you were in an environment that we felt comfortable in. Like we knew what was being taught.
Absolutely.
We knew that, like you said, the teachers cared about you. And I think that was the biggest thing. And now as young parents ourselves, you know, that's a huge decision.
I also think too, like you have to put your kid on a waiting list to go to FFCA. And so I think there's something to be said about family culture of the kids that go there too. Like I think
Everybody has the same mindset.
yeah, everybody's like thought like, oh, I want something better for my kids. And like I feel like for the most part, everybody's parents give a shit. You know?
It's true.
Like I
It's
feel like
true.
they're not just like passively letting, and not again, like not to like blanket the public system. Like there are great public
There
schools
is,
out
and
there
there's
too.
great public teachers. And
Yeah, but I think just like if your kid is in that school, you've gone out of your way to make sure they're going in a different direction. You know, you're not just like, oh, this school's convenient, like whatever.
I have a funny story about Maddie in kindergarten.
No.
And
I was so shy.
she was so painfully shy that she didn't talk to the teacher unless she was asked a direct question. Like most kids in kindergarten, like Kennedy and Pierce would like run in Monday morning and want to tell the teacher about their entire weekend, right? No, not Maddie. She would just go in and sit down and not say a word. Like she wouldn't talk to the teacher.
Wow.
And I remember the last week of kindergarten, her teacher came up to me when I was picking her up and said, she talked to me. I'm like, what? She goes, I'm like, what do you mean she hasn't talked to you? She goes, no, she'll answer a question, but she won't like offer me information. Like she won't come up and I was like, oh. So
Yeah, but
she
I'm
was
still not
extremely shy.
really like that with people.
You're standoffish a little bit.
I just like to assess first before I decide if I like you or not.
So the teacher was probably walking on cloud 9 after that. She's like, I've made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Maureen, I want to ask you then. So what are some things that you would have changed? Or okay, 2 questions. What are some things that you give yourself props for and you were really glad that you did as a mom with your kids growing up? And what are some things that you would do different?
If you could do it
If
all
you
over
could do it
again.
all over again.
Oh, Lord. Well, the props is, maintaining the family, I guess, like I talked about before, like with the mealtime and, we always had family vacations as well, and not expensive vacations, right? Like we only went away a couple times, but, just making sure that their summers were fun, making sure that they had a good relationship with their grandparents, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the closeness is really important to you.
Yes.
The unity.
Yeah, the closest, the family unit, right?
Yeah.
What I would have done different, as I spoke before, is not been so much of a helicopter parent and let them learn things,
Yeah.
by,
Consequences of their own
consequences,
actions.
right? Which I didn't do as much, which,
It's hard.
That's one thing I would have done differently. Yeah.
Sorry, did you?
No, I just think it's interesting to hear you say that, because I feel like that's the thing about your parenting that I'm trying to do differently in my parenting.
You're trying to let him learn by consequences?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
So that was one of the things that we
probably
watched.
Proud of you.
I'll probably let him forget his lunch.
And yet you're so grateful that you got your lunches.
Yes.
That's the nice thing too, especially is like becoming moms, is you can be grateful for your experience and also be like, no, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. Is that hard as a grandmother now to watch? Because you just said congratulations and I'm proud of you for
I'm
for doing
so
something
proud of
different.
Maddie, just as everything she does as a mother. I really am.
Oh, I love
Arden
that.
is just so lucky to have her and Omari.
That's so
for
wonderful.
And Omari's parents as well.
Yes.
Like he is such a lucky kid.
He really is.
And-
He's very
and-
surrounded by love.
Oh, totally.
I think those values, though, of like family and stuff, though, I think I was looking for those same
was gonna say
values
that. Yep.
in my partner, because Omari's family, I would say, like, we do Sunday dinner with his family
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
Like
It
his
totally
mom
translated.
cooks one week, his aunt cooks the next week. Like it's very family orientated, and even like
We just went to Mexico with us and his auntie and his sister. Like it's
So lovely.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and awesome examples too. It just like you were saying earlier, it just seems so natural for your family that I think to people who don't have that, my heart just goes out to them. But it's so wonderful to have people where, you're in a stable environment. You can invite those, like Arden's friends someday. Like maybe they're not in an environment where they have that. It's like you can encourage them to join you and be their safe space. And I think that's something that, from my experiences as well, that I totally am so grateful for. And, I think it makes a huge difference.
Sorry, what
in
was the
family.
question again?
Oh, you answered it.
what
you would do differently.
But you
Yeah,
answered it.
that's one thing I would do differently for sure.
Oh, but then I was asking about being a grandparent,
Oh.
grandmother. So, are there things that are hard for you now as a grandmother to watch? Or have you really embraced the hands-off, less control aspect of being a grandma?
I don't think I control anything.
No.
I try not to give my
doesn't.
opinion. I really don't.
Is that a relief? Is that easy for you?
Yes.
Good for you.
Oh, it's totally eeasy for me. Yeah.
That's just a lot of trust in you,
Yeah.
No, she does.
She's
She
like,
does
Maddie's
such
doing
a
a
good
great
job.
job.
Yeah. No, I have no problem with that at all. And
Awesome.
I think when Maddie first told me she was pregnant, maybe I was like, oh God, I have to raise another one.
Probably didn't know what to expect.
I didn't know what to expect. I was like, I can't do play school again.
And we're in Costco the other day, and Arden grabs my hands he grabs my hands like this, and he goes, he's been singing a slippery fish song in gymnastics, and so he goes, swish, swish, fish, swish, swish, fish.
You gotta teach Poppy that. That's so cute.
Yeah. So no, like there's nothing. I love being a grandmother, and it's so amazing when he does spend time with us. I think the thing I love most about it is watching him with Jeff, with his grandpa, because Jeff was always around, like Maddie's dad was always around for dinner and whatever, but he worked long hours. Like he had his own business and he worked 12-hour days, lots of days. Yeah. And, just now for him to be able, I still work part-time, he's retired, but like Maddie will call up and say, hey, Dad, can you watch Arden for a few hours? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, they're like outside in the yard yesterday, like building a barbecue, and my dad gives Arden the hammer, and he's like whacking the barbecue.
And he has so much patience with him, and that just brings my heart so much joy watching her dad with Arden, because, like I said, he was a great dad, but he was always so busy and stressed about working, and now he's just like
gets to embrace the experience. Totally present.
Embrace.
They'll like sit at the table and like eat chicken wings and nachos together and like watch baseball.
They watch baseball together.
So wholesome.
And he always has to be on Grandpa's lap.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah. So yes, I am very much enjoying being a grandma.
That's great. It seems like
it was stressful in the beginning because Maddie had the C-section and helping her kind of get through that a little bit.
Moving and all the tumultuous changes over time.
Yeah. That was hard, but now it's awesome.
That's so great. It sounds like it's been a very fulfilling journey for you. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yes. Can't wait for some more.
Yeah, Maddie, can't wait for some more.
Not right away, but whenever they're ready.
Now you know what to expect. You're like, we've had a grandkid. It'll be awesome. That's so great.
Yeah, and it is fun just to, I feed him too much ice cream. That gives me trouble.
Okay, yeah, but now he just knows where the ice cream lives. So he like run into her house and just open the freezer and be like...
He's like, ooh, he scares ice cream.
There are worse things than ice cream joy. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. So maybe just to wrap up, Maureen, what is one piece of advice that you would give to new mothers? I'm sure you've talked to Maddie about some things, but adopt me. Give me some advice. Give me our listeners.
Yeah, don't stress over the small things. Just let your kids be kids, and you know what? If they're not gonna die, let them do it. Like let them be themselves.
Love it.
And not try to, make them be a certain way.
Okay. Got it. No micromanaging.
No micromanaging, for sure.
Try to remember that.
Yeah, and don't worry about a dirty house. Yeah, just let that go. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks about how you're parenting or that kind of thing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's so great.
That would be my one piece of advice. And try to have dinner together. If at all possible.
Yeah. That is a dying art, I think.
Yeah. I had said that in that last episode too.
Yeah.
About how that's something I want to do because my family always did it. Is like have dinner together every night when we can.
It takes so much intention and I mean, like you said, you'd go pick up your kids and then come home and then go back. Like that takes planning, that takes purpose. And so I think, again, back to maybe the prior questions, which is like, as a new mom, as younger families, it's really important to figure out like what it is that's really important to you and kind of build the family from there and like pick a couple habits that you want to instill or a couple things that you want to, like even the discipline that you were talking about, the back-to-back. I think that's so cute. Like I can imagine it, but it's like in the moment when you're a kid, you're like, I hate this. I hate you. But
they knew they couldn't get out of the chair.
Yeah. So and then you start giggling and it's all turns good. So
yeah. And that's the other thing is don't get involved in their fights because I remember just being beside, like Maddie and Kennedy would be arguing about something and I'd be like, get involved or try to take sides, and literally a half an hour later I'd walk in the room and Kennedy's got her head on Maddie's lap.
Oh,
she's
that's
like
so real.
brushing her hair and I'm like, I'm still mad. They're fine and I'm angry. So just don't get involved in all of the debauchery. Just
that's a great point.
Let them figure it out and just be like,
I love that. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think it speaks to like the sibling dynamic because apparently you guys were able to figure out, whatever differences were had, and communication is probably a good part of that. You like give them the opportunity to communicate with each other, whether it's like positive or negative. It's all learning experiences. So I think that's awesome.
That was one thing I did. I would really try to like keep the peace with everybody, and it just stressed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've come so far in the last 5 years.
So far in the last 5 years.
That's so great.
Yeah.
You probably feel like a little bit of a weight off of your shoulders from that.
Yeah. Well, because even now, sometimes they, one will phone me and the other will phone me.
You get both sides of the story.
I get both sides of the story, and then I'm like, click. Okay. They'll figure it out. Yeah. Not that I don't care, but it's like there's nothing I
What am I
can
gonna
do.
do about
I
it?
can't do anything about it, so I'm not even gonna try.
She's pretty good about not choosing sides, though.
Good for you. That's a skill. That's a lifelong skill. That'll take me some years.
So
I'm
yeah,
like,
that would be my advice.
Yeah.
perfect.
But than that, just enjoy the ride.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it does go by fast.
It's a roller coaster, but everyone loves. I mean, not everyone, but you can learn to love the roller coasters. I think.
It is. Yeah. Just enjoy every minute with them, and
So good.
the good, the bad, the ugly.
Well, makes it a perfect story. I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
love it.
Okay.
It's been,
Thanks for having me.
It's been a joy. It's super fun. And thanks to our listeners for joining us again. We've had a great episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or comments, if there's anything you'd like to see in the future, please let us know. And with that,
Happy Mother's Day.
happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Much love. Bye.